big up, big up, big up. Welcome, welcome, welcome to all that are joining us for this little bit of a, I guess, just a Saturday social meetup. It's only going to be an hour long episode today because actually we have a unique thing happening in my state. There's an F1 event going on, and I've never been to an F1 race or F1. I don't know, Lee, have you ever been to one of those things?
I haven't, no. I used to watch it for about 30 years ago with my
Oh, 30
stepdad and my
years ago.
little brother, because my stepdad liked it, but it was never really my thing. But I did used to watch it. It was when Nigel Mansell, I think, was like one of the main fellas.
Okay.
And
Okay.
I did enjoy it a bit, watched a bit of it, but only because my stepdad liked it, you know what I mean?
Okay.
It's
Yeah.
interesting though, like if you're into cars and that, yeah, I can see the attraction. You've got what you call it in America, haven't you? The NASCAR and all
Yeah.
these different ones, haven't you?
Yeah. There's no lack of getting in a car and going fast, Ricky Bobby style here in America. Definitely. If it's NASCAR, if it's go-karts, if it's whatever it is, they'll put the pedal to the metal here
You
in
know
our
what? I've never seen that film, but I must confess I laugh at the name Ricky Bobby. It's just such a daft name, Ricky Bobby. Like, I mean, is that the guy's real name, innit? He's actually called
yeah.
Ricky Bobby.
In
But
the
I mean,
movie,
that
yeah.
isn't his surname, Bobby, is it? Or is it?
No, that's his name, Ricky Bobby. That's his name.
Ricky Bobby? Bloody hell.
Yeah, it's funny.
Talladega, something, isn't it? Talladega Nights or something it's called.
Yeah, it is. It is a funny movie. If you get the opportunity to watch it, it is pretty funny. But yeah, it's a unique thing. So the Red Bull is having an event here. So they've blocked off parts of the city, and there's going to be like different things going on where they'll do like speed things. They'll do stunts where they'll do like donuts and stuff in the cars and stuff for you. Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, I'm excited about it. Excited to see it. But I also, you know me. I always got to talk to my brethren out there. So I wanted to definitely get an episode in and see how everyone's doing. See if there's anything on anyone's mind, any issues or things that you want to talk about, maybe. Um, it's like the calm before the storm. I don't know how you're feeling going into this Spurs matchup, but I mean, like I've said it time and time with this year. I am like you. I with all things in life in general, I expect the best, prepare for the worst, expect the best. That's my motto. But yet,
Mm.
Spurs have been so bad
Mm.
that it'll be so like Spurs to all of a sudden dive deep and bring out their inner prime Barca. you
This
know
is what worries me as well, like our poor performance against sides who are right down the table. And it's not so much that I'm worried about Spurs being really like good and earning something. I'm worried about us being really bad and us not earning the points. Do you know what I mean?
Mhm, mhm.
Because we've been so bad against teams at the bottom of the table. Two draws with Leeds, couldn't beat Burnley at home, just about beat Burnley away because Hannibal handballed it right at the end. You know what I mean? We weren't getting nothing in that game, mate, until that happened. And then who's the other? Forest had done us 3-0. I know we got our own back, but we struggled against the lower down sides, haven't we? I mean,
Yeah,
Wolves, mate, Wolves beat us like. So, yeah, I don't want to be too. I am expecting a win. I will go as far as saying that. I'm expecting it, hoping
yeah,
for it and expecting it. But I wouldn't be surprised, put it that way, if I'm disappointed the way this season's gone. Can't take any game for granted, can you, this season in the league?
yeah, yeah, yeah. Um, excuse me. And there's been like it's wild too, because Twitter, you can't really trust. You can trust about like 30% of what you read on Twitter, so you have to always do your own investigation and the likes of what's going on that source. You know, there's very few sources on Twitter that I always like at least try to. um, to call on, or at least respect and everything else. But there's a lot of different like rumors out there about like players that are in the mix. Like as in who's going to be available for this game, even who's going to be available, really. Like for instance, do you think that we've got some contracts that are going to be coming up either this year or next year? And like, um, do you think that this is maybe the time to part ways with Salah? Do you think it's this the time maybe to part ways with Ali? Like it's weird conversations that we're having that just all of a sudden just like popped up out of nowhere, you know?
Don't want to part ways with Ali, and if we could get him to sign a year extension, I'd love that. I don't think something inside me tells me he probably wouldn't be up for a year extension, that he would want to go back to Brazil after next season's over. Because next season's his
Mm.
last season, isn't it, on his contract?
I mean,
Um,
even McAllister's been talked about as being like McAllister openly said that he wants to go back to Argentina at some point in his career and play for his hometown team. It's obviously not going to be next year or immediately,
mm,
but I mean, like these are weird
well,
conversations.
yeah, the thing is, it could end up being next season, Ali's last season, and Virgil's last season. Next season, I mean, I'm not really expecting Mo to be here next season. I know he's got another year after this year, but I'm thinking we'll probably cut our ties then. And it's no disrespect to Mo, it's just that like things have moved on and that, and age has caught up with him. Nobody's exempt from that, are they? No player.
Mhm.
And it's just a fact, really, isn't it, for a lot of people? And we've struggled badly this season on the wings. Like, it's not just Mo, and it isn't just their fault. We've just struggled so badly this season, and two of the positions which have been really apparent has been out wide. Um, the two lads have struggled there, like, haven't they?
They have I'll ask you this question. 'Cause I heard this on one of the talk shows or one of the other shows that were um out there, and it was this question. I'm going to ask the chat this question too. It was brought up by a infamous waffler. This guy is a ham. Tell you the truth, all he does is talk smack, and he's always about like he's a big guy, but I that doesn't scare me. I'm a big guy too. So, um, when it comes to this team, a lot of us have always heard lots. It's always about slot, you know. But yeah, he was called us by not calling out the players of this season in their responsibility for, the circumstances that we're in currently. And I can understand somewhat of what he's saying, as in I think the players do have to hold accountability. But if you had to put a percentage on it, what percentage would you say? And you could tell us in the chat too. What percentage would you say is results or this the calamity of this year, though this campaign is what 7% on Klopp, excuse me, 7% on Slot, and 30% of the players are 50-50. Like what, and some of you probably asked to say, oh, put the FSG somewhere in that mix too. We can maybe do that question next, but let's just look at it this way because, you know, the board doesn't necessarily play the games. The coach doesn't either, but the coach dictates who does play the games. Um, what would be the percentage if you had to break it down?
It was breaking up then when you were just saying what it was about.
Okay, I'm sorry.
I
I basically,
got some of it, like
let me
not all of
see,
it.
let me see if I can repeat it. What I was just saying is like, what would be the percentage of responsibility for our year so far? Would you say it's 50-50? Would you say it's 60% slot, 30% players? Is it 60% the players, 40% slot? What is the percentage you think
Yeah, I think the
is?
greater percentage is Slot. It emanates from him. Um, but there's a lot of blame on the players as well. I think the players have let him down at times this season.
Mhm.
Um, but it's all just part of it, isn't it? You know, the whole thing's just been turbulent, tumultuous, torturous.
Okay. Okay.
And yeah, I would say the greater portion of blame lies on Arnie because he's the number one and he's the man giving the orders. But I do think they have let him down at times, and they've let themselves down at times with certain performances, as far as I'm concerned. And I don't say that lightly. I don't want to get on their backs and that, and I don't want to get on Arnie's. I'm only saying it, because we've been so bad this season. I mean, for it to come after it was a great season last season. Yes, we only won the league, only the league, but it was such a great season. And then to have this, to drop off a cliff face onto the rocks below the very next season, it's been hard to take, hasn't it? Because none of us expected this.
Not the way the season has gone, and not with the summer that we had. I don't think any of us expected this to happen, to be honest with you. But like I said, you prepare for the worst and you expect the best and prepare for the worst. Eric is saying that he thinks it's 60% Slot, 40% the players. It was interesting because on this other show they were having arguments, and I think it was more of it was a lot of waffle, as you guys say, in that it was just a lot of there wasn't really a point to what he was saying. He was kind of he was saying one thing and then trying to play both sides of the argument, almost in the sense he was admitting that he's a waffler himself, but yet but I'm going to call out someone else for being a waffler. It was a weird tactic that he used, but the whole basic concept of what he was saying is that these players need to hold more accountability for it. And it's I understand what he is saying, but it's the same thing as when I hear people say, oh well, VV should go out there and he's the captain, so he should just go out there and tell them to play this way, despite the fact the coach is telling them to play another way. Having a mutiny is not the way you get through a season. You know what I mean? It's not. You're going to end up having you're going to be going into training the next day and getting an earful from the coach. Yeah, you might have gotten a result, but I mean, the coach most coaches want to rule with somewhat of an iron fist to an extent, or you think that's a lost element of coaching today? Hopefully you heard what I said.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, people have talked about the backroom stuff changing a bit with Heisman moving on and Van Bronckhorst coming in, but I don't think that will have made as much difference as some people think. At the end of the day, it all lies with Arnie, doesn't it? And yeah, I think we just overestimated how good he was as a manager. I think from last season. I mean, I'm not having that he just came in and yeah, he were Klopp's players, but he did make a few changes. He made quite a few noticeable changes, and it worked. It worked his treat, and I think we overestimated how good he would be off the back of that. I mean, who wouldn't? I mean, it wasn't just us. It was the football media in general before the season started were yeah, Liverpool for the title. They were saying probably the only Achilles heel is that we didn't get Gahey, and that could be the thing that undoes them. It's been more than that.
Let me just interject then real quickly. Do you really think that Gahey would have been the absolute difference in us fighting for top 5, top 4, whatever it is that we're trying to compete for, and us being possibly still in a title race?
No, no chance. It's just one of a number of things. At the beginning of the season, I remember watching it just before the season kicked off, they had a thing. It was on the internet, Sky, and I can't even remember who was on it now. But they were all saying this palaver about it should be Liverpool's title. And one of them said at the end, and it was a journalist, it wasn't one of the ex-players, he said, yeah, the one thing that could mess them up is not getting Gay and not having that extra thingy. Centre back. No, we didn't know Leone would get injured. Obviously, at that point, we didn't know Joe would suffer again this season as badly as he has with injuries. But even if we'd have got Gahey now, it wouldn't have made an awful lot of difference, I don't think, to our season. There's just been too much other stuff as well going on. That's just one of the things that didn't help, was not having that extra centre-back option. I don't think we would have had like a vastly different season, maybe slightly different, a couple of results, but no more than that if we'd have got Mark Gahey.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think it was like a make or break that, if we got in Mark Gahey, all of a sudden we're dealing with like, different settings with our season so far. I think it's a lot of what we see is what we get with a lot of the injuries and a lot of the circumstances of just bad luck almost somewhat with some of the things that we had a good run in the beginning of the season, but in the sense of with fortune being on our side, but sometimes it catches up with you, that's all. Let's see. Is anybody saying anything else in the chat? I think I was just seeing, because this is the free form episode. This is only going to be an hour-long episode. So, if you got questions or if you got a topic you want to bring up, ask away. If you want to, bring up extra points that, or take something of what we're saying on a relative tangent, you can do that too. I mean, just try to keep the tangent relatively close to what we're talking about. I know some people might take the liberties with that, so just making sure.
For me, like, I'm just really he's had this pressure, hasn't he? So what was the injury news of the pressure, because I missed it? Is there anyone back who's been out? Or?
Not really. I mean,
I'm expecting Frimpong to start. With Frimpong starting the last two games, surely he'll be starting this one. I would think.
I mean, you would think he would, but I mean, again, that's why when it, I would probably say it's the players have to take accountability, but I think it is a little maybe 70-30, because there is a piece that I read in the Athletic, and I wanted to kind of like delve deeper into a lot of what they said in the piece. And it was a very interesting piece because it talked about how we play too slow, and if we play too slow, and or if we play too slow, is that even possible in a Premier League, where it's fast and it's all about like, physicality and the likes. I would go as far as to say maybe it's 70-30 Slot to players. And I know some people would say, oh, well, you're just taking you're doing some player FC type stuff or whatever. But I mean, realistically, I think that what it comes down to is that I understand the players have to go out and execute what it is that the coach gives the plan. However, if the plan isn't a good plan, then the players can play as best of their abilities or try to adapt their talents to, be to that level or be accountable to that system, and still not produce what you need to produce. I think I've heard this question quite a bit on other shows. I've heard a question by other rivals asking this question of like, how did you go from being so good to being so, mediocre, if not bad in other people's minds? And don't get it twisted. I mean, we aren't bad. We are definitely mediocre. I will go as far as to say that. I would say that we are mediocre in that bad teams don't compete for a top 4 or top 5, in a league like a Premier League, but mediocre teams sometimes can, you can have elite teams or very high level teams performing on all cylinders, and then you can have some mediocre average teams that are, good on their day type situation. And that's what we've been this season. We've been bad or ugly looking on the pitch, and then also occasionally fantastic on looking on the pitch. I don't. There's not many times I could. There were times in last season that I could say that whether it was the Manchester City game, whether it was the Villa game last year, whether it was the Bayern Leverkusen game, Real Madrid game. Those were really, really exciting moments for this football club last year, at least. Okay. This year, there haven't been those moments really. Like, can you think of a moment? Can you think of a game that really stands out where you're like, oh, that was the essence of what we had last season? Can you think of any? And big up to TW, by the way.
ITW.
You got to think. I know it's here. That question's for the chat too, because they're usually undefeated when it comes to referencing something. You can't think of it. Okay, I guess you can't think of anything. Okay. It's weird because this was a quote from Arne Slot, for instance. Tell me how this sounds. Arne Slot insists there's a full backing from Liverpool hierarchy. He said, "This is probably the nicest club to struggle at because you feel the support. This club has always shown in different periods everyone is there for you, and that is one of our strengths. It's one of our strengths as a club, as a supporter base. You feel as though we're all in for really supporting and giving and being patient or giving time for things to develop and things and such and the likes. And that's why it is a little weird that do you think that I'll ask this question like this. Do you think that Arne Slot had too much success too soon?
Probably did. But I can't really see that, like, if he'd have had less success and just won, like, say, the League Cup last season, that we'd have went on to be better this season. I'm not sure it would have worked like that. And there's been a gradual thing. I don't want to take anything away from him, but I'm coming more around to the idea that it was just like a little bit lucky the way the cards fell last season. In a number of ways, like both for what he was coming in and taking over and for the seasons that like our rivals had, specifically City dropping off last season for the first time, because they haven't done that before, had they?
Right.
That had never happened with City. So the timing was just right. And, it made it look good. But surely the people behind the scenes aren't that blind, like that, they haven't watched us this season and thought, well, where's all that bloody money? You know what I mean? They must have been expecting better than this season. Surely they're disappointed. They can say, he's got our back and all he wants, but it's whether, we choose to believe that or not. Personally, I don't, and I hope that he doesn't have their back in long term, because I think we need a new man in. I'll always be grateful to him, and I'll always have a place in my heart for him, but I think his job's done here now.
Okay. It's time to. I don't want to sound like it's time to go type situation.
Yeah, we got to try something new. We'll have had him for 2 seasons then. It's not like we'll have sacked him after 6 months. We'll have had 24 months out of him, which is quite long, these days in a coaching career. Coaching. I'm talking about at one club, managers, move on all the time, don't they? Especially at bigger clubs, if they don't do what's expected. So, 2 seasons would be about enough for me. It's just been the football as well. It has been too boring. It's not like us to be crap to watch. We're usually a good team to watch if you support Liverpool. Very few eras where we've been crap to watch. But we are with a crap watch this season. It's like watching paint dry at times, isn't it? and
Yeah,
it's a tough thing to admit and to have to go through as well. Like at the same time,
yeah,
that your team is really boring, and it is.
yeah. There was. I'm trying to say this again. It's There was this tweet. There's a funny tweet because it was like such nonsense. Let's see if I can find it. I'm looking for it as we speak, but um, it is. Eric says it's a strange one. If we had finished in the top four last season, we would have sold. We have said that this was a decent first season. That it was a decent first season. I think you know what's wild about it is if we had finished top four last season, and then hypothetically, let's say we finished top five, maybe even six, but we finish either like top five or we finish right in Europa. We would still think that there is room for growth. We would still probably be saying, "Oh, this is a team that we should allow to get that breathing room with this new coach." As and we've seen him progress forward, and albeit that we've taken a step back by going into Europa or getting a lower placement in the league, but we probably would have given him that extra year or two, at least let him see it out of his contract to uh, see him try to make it right. But I just think that the football, like you said, has been just so dismal, so uninspiring that it's almost as if like at times it's like a coach trying to hold on to his job much rather than trying to progress a system that he has faith in. Because we've seen various formations or various ideas behind what he brings about. You mentioned our assistant coach Heitinga, right?
Hmm.
Uh, and it was interesting. So I read something about that. Apparently, he wanted to come back to Liverpool, but they didn't. But FSG didn't want to bring him back. Do you have any ideas? Do you have any like I don't know theory as to why that would be the case? It's a tough one.
Mm. What, bringing Gerard back? He's saying, sorry.
No, no, Heitinger.
Oh, housing. No, I think that ship sailed, hasn't it? Like I said, last season was great and all that, and he was part of it. But I don't think it's probably made that much difference changing him for Heisinger and for Van Bronckhorst. Um, I really don't know. Maybe it didn't help a little bit of, but I mean that's not even his number two, is it? His number two is that sicky bloke in it. I think
Hmm, hmm,
he's just
hmm.
like he's number two. I think like that's sicky. So yeah, I don't think it's made that big a difference. Um, although it wouldn't have helped, I don't think it made that big a difference. Swapping one member of the coaching staff for another. I was actually
I,
pleased to see Van Bronckhorst. I liked him as a player, not massively, but he had a good left foot. He was worth watching sometimes for that left foot of his, bit of a cannon. But yeah, he's not been that great, has he? Like him and Arnie and Sippy together this
I,
season. What else?
Slightly off topic because today is the anniversary of the 4-1 victory at Old Trafford that we had in 2009. Um, I especially loved that game and that memory because I think El Nino is one of my favorite players to ever have put a red kit on and been able to watch play. Um, and although they weren't wearing red that day because we were at Old Trafford, I think they were wearing. think they had gray kits. I think that's where our second kits was gray kits that year. Right? Is that right or wrong? Do you remember?
Sorry, say that again.
2009. Do you remember what our second kit was? We're at Old
Oh,
Trafford.
oh, the grey one in
The gray
2008,
one, right?
9.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. All
I
right.
was
Making
thinking the
sure I had the right
following
kit.
season then. Yeah,
Yeah.
2008, 9, we had that grey one, didn't we? It was lovely that.
Yeah.
It looked good, that one, didn't it? That was so funny, that game. The best bit was Vidic falling over and getting
Yeah.
sent off.
So
Because the
that's a,
way he gestured, wasn't it like he'd been pulled? And that was just
yeah.
so funny. It wasn't the first, it happened again to him against us, didn't it? Where he got sent off again.
Yeah.
Wasn't a great defender
Um,
though. Him and Ferdinand was a brilliant partnership.
we
But,
should have got the clean sheet. I thought we should have got the clean sheet that game. That would have been better if we got the clean sheet, obviously. But it's still a 4-1 victory. It's still a big beat down at Old
well, you
Trafford.
know the 5-0 at Old Trafford. Sorry,
Oh, of
sorry.
course. Of course.
The 5-0
Yeah,
at Old Trafford where we did get a clean sheet. The best
absolutely.
part of the game, apart from what we did to them, was Ronaldo's goal that was ruled offside. Remember,
Ruled
they thought
offsides.
he'd
Yeah,
scored. Ah, that
yeah,
was just like the cherry on the cake. I think
yeah.
that happened before, before Pogba took Naby out the game
And
in
that's the whole thing.
frustration.
That's what made the whole game ugly to me was when Pogba, who I never really minded
Yeah, you know
necessarily.
what though? I was angry at the time, and I was like, "What?" And Naby did. He had to be stretched off, mate. You know what I mean? And replaced. But like, it
Mhm.
added to it once it was over, and that. And now looking back on reflection, that added to it for them to have like him sent off.
They
So
were beating that.
Ronaldo's
That
goal
was
disallowed them to have 5 go in the net without reply.
that was the game that they also left at halftime. I mean, like I remember at halftime they're showing like the overhead camera, where the blimp style camera of the stadium,
Yeah.
and there were droves leaving because we were up like pretty heavily before halftime. By halftime, I think it was like 3-0. I want to say 3-0, 4-0, something like that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We were. Was it 4 by half? No, it was 3 at half
It was
time,
3-0,
wasn't it? I
right?
think.
3-0. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Was
I
it-
mean,
I,
I mean,
I'm
even
trying.
Naby was getting involved in that game. I mean,
Yeah,
that
I
was such a
enjoyed
shame.
that one more
That
than
was
the
possibly his.
7-0. I enjoyed that one more than
No,
the 7-0 because it
no,
was away. The 7-0
no,
was great, but being away, doing that to them on their own pitch was hilarious.
no.
Remember, like when we nearly won the league under Rodgers, what we did
Yeah,
to them that day was
pitcher.
funny. We only ended up
That's a
winning
shame.
like 3-1 or some shit, but we battered them. Should have been about 6-0 that day. But,
Let me ask the chat. Let's do an impromptu a little vote or poll or whatever. We'll call it a vote so we don't, in case Derek joins the chat, he doesn't get angry. But which was more of a treat for you? Which was more entertaining, or which was more of enjoyable for you? Was it the 5-0 at Old Trafford, or the 7-0 at Anfield? I'm still a 7-up guy. I that Old Trafford was awesome. That was awesome. But you know why I loved it was because like 7-0 was so great because it could have easily been 6-0, but
mm.
the fact is we subbed in Bobby late in that game and he got his little taste, and I was like, this is like one of the best games ever.
Yeah, again, that game was another one that had a great ending, yeah, with Bobby. It was such a great finish as well, like, because they tried so hard to stop him, De Gea included, and he just couldn't. He was on a mission there, wasn't he?
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
yeah.
Or
I
said he
always
chooses
liked
the
that, though,
first
of
like
like, yeah, of embarrassing them on their own pitch. Mate, they've never come to Anfield and done us like that 5-0. Or
no,
we've done them like badly before as well. I just can't remember them ever coming to. I can remember them coming to Anfield and sort of like dominating and winning by 2 goals or some crap. But that's about it. Do you know what I mean? And that's if they won
yeah,
at all.
yeah, yeah. 50% of the fans gone by halftime at Old Trafford was something for the ages. It was. Some taking it high, Laura, you're saying that the 5-0 was more memorable. Was your it was I don't remember. I don't know how you ever want to put it, but if you had to choose which was your favorite, was it the 5-0 or was it the 7-0 or was it 7-up? Which would it be? Because we were just talking. This conversation started by us talking about 2009. We had a 4-1 victory at Old Trafford. It's always fun to talk about beating up our rivals, and I just remember Torres scored in that game. Stevie G scored in that game. Who else scored in that game?
Was it the Shayna as well? Got one.
Yep, he got one. Yep. Aurelio, I think, got one too, right?
Yeah, I think he did, didn't he? Oh, no. It would have been him and whatever. Anyway, we panned them, didn't we?
Yeah.
But, yeah, I mean, we've done that a few times. I remember one, like, when I was a kid. No, not a kid, about 16. I think it was 1990, and Barnes scored away there. But we absolutely battered them. And Ronnie Whelan scored an own goal. I think it might have been 4-1, but it was a real battering, like.
Okay, so since we're talking about Old Trafford, let me pull up SofaScore to help me out with to make sure we can get all the correct factual names and the likes of who's going to be involved in these. What was your favorite? Because there were some good Spurs games as well. Obviously, let's not talk about the Champions League victory. Obviously, that's a huge victory over them. We understand that, but other than the fact that it was a trophy, probably wasn't that great. That game wasn't like a highly entertaining game, let's say. What was your favorite Spurs match? What was your favorite Liverpool Spurs game? I know you can't say Champions Final. You can't say Champions Final. That one you got to take.
Oh, for me, it's the Jota late winner.
Yes,
where he does that's the one, bro. I always remember Jota's game. That one there.
That's me.
Yeah. And then coming back for 3-3, and then Jota scoring for me. I'll always remember that. Big up Eric, Julio in the chat. Great to see you guys, man.
Yeah, for me, a lot of my favourite wins over Spurs were like when I was a kid. So like a lot of people in the chat will remember them because they're not as old as me. But a lot of the favourite wins over Spurs were years ago. Like there's some standout ones like on the way to the title, etc. When I was like young and that. There's been good ones in recent. We always have a good record against them. They are a team who can beat you the odd time, like, but it's rare with Spurs that they beat us. Like, we usually have a bit of a hoodoo on them, like.
But that's up to CW as well.
Recent ones, then. Favorite recent
the 6-3 in it, bro. Last season, that was good. Actually, that was good until we let them score a couple of goals.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we hammered them away. We let them score a few, but.
The League Cup, you're talking about that League Cup game? That wasn't at Anfield. You're talking about that one? The one that we had? No? Do you remember which one I'm talking about? Can you hear me?
Yeah, again, bro.
Oh, okay.
Which one you on about?
Yeah, we played them in the League Cup as well, didn't we? I can't
remember
the details though of the League Cup game.
We were up I think we were up 4-5-0, and then they scored 3-4 goals themselves. Though we all of a sudden just turned down the volume, and started letting them back into it. Do you remember that? No.
No.
I'm just trying to think about that one.
Okay.
Who were the goal scorers?
I'm gonna call it up.
Yeah. I'm just trying to think of that one.
Seems to remember, I think we lost away there in the League Cup last season, but we didn't try that hard, and it didn't matter anyway because we went through.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
Yeah. Bless you, man.
Thank you.
Over the two legs. I mean, I think that was what it was like. I can't remember properly. Memory's not good enough.
Tyler's saying his favorite Tottenham match is Klopp's first match as manager for Liverpool. It went to a draw, but those moments how we appeared that day were our players 1% in for a very decent Tottenham at the time. Certainly, they were good back in that era. Tottenham we're good. They're a good team. Not the Tottenham we know today. Certainly.
Yeah. I only have a vague memory of it, that one, but I do remember his first game was Spurs. I remember that bad game where who was it? Lovren got subbed when we were getting battered. Do you remember that game? Yanked Lovren off like after not too long. Did a Kinski on him.
I'm gonna call up that game that I'm talking about. Let me pull up this. Looking for the matches here because it was where was that? Okay. So he had one goal. Who did they score? That was the year of the that was I don't remember. That year was good. That was a good game when we won 5-1. Is that the game you're talking about? Earlier too? We've had some really big victories over them, to be honest with you. The game it was 6-3. It was 6-3. I think that was the game, I say. Yeah, it was a Premier League game too. I thought it was a League Cup game for some reason. Do you remember that or no? 6-3 game. JK Lee.
Yeah, sorry, I just putting something in the microphone.
I'm trying to think of some of the other ones. All right, you guys are both back. Okay. The 6-3 one was what I was talking about, actually. And it was a Premier League game.
Yeah, 6-3. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I was thinking 5 for that one, but it was 6 we hit them for. Dom was man of the match, wasn't he? Like, Dom had an outstanding game. He's knackered at the end, wasn't he, after all the running he did?
Yeah. Yeah. He was he had an awesome game then. But it was like we were up like I want to say like 4 or 5-0. And then they started scoring. Then they started scoring.
Yeah.
And then we scored in a cap or goal or something. I'd have to look at the game. Yeah, let me see if I can pull it up here. Maybe even.
But that's football nowadays, bro. You could be 3-0 up. The opposition get a goal. The commentators on the case. Oh, if they get the next one, it could be a nice ending. Blah blah blah.
Yeah.
That's why these football games. You know what commentators? They're paid to say them sort of things. So the viewers, I think, are always exciting, isn't it?
Yeah.
But yeah.
What was the game? It wasn't Anfield, but what was the game that Bobby had a hat? Didn't Bobby have a hat trick against them?
Yep, against Tottenham. He got the penalty of Salah, didn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, to get the 3.
Yeah. Was that the game where he did that look away finish sort of thing, where he had the finish box and he sort of turned his head and knocked it in?
Yeah. Well, he's done that a couple of times, so because he did that against.
Yeah, he's done it against. You seem to remember maybe it was part of his hat trick against Spurs that he did one of them. He's such a cheeky bugger, wasn't he, Bobby, with stuff like that. But he had the skills to do it.
Yeah. Big up, Abdul, by the way. Big up. Shout out to Hylor.
No, peace, Abdul, yeah. Hylor, yeah. Hello.
I'm trying to think of some other memorable games. There was I want to say 2013. That was a big one too. That was the one where Raheem Sterling scored a goal in that one, and Suarez, I think, had a brace. I want to say he had a brace. Let me double check. Yeah, he had a brace in that game. Hendo had a goal in that. Even Flanagan had a goal in that game, which is pretty wild. He's not someone that usually gets on the scoring board. Man, but still, like you said, JK, my favorite matchup, my favorite one. I like that one at the one where he scored the hat trick. I think was one of my favorites for when Bobby scored the hat trick because I think I want to say Mourinho was the coach, wasn't he?
I think he was.
Coach? I just remember how pissed off Mourinho was. Like he was just pissed. And he was not happy at all. I just like seeing Mourinho get mad. And then but I would say at least I'd say my favorite is the Jota game winner. Especially since the pigeon took off his shirt and was doing his pigeon dance and just going crazy and the likes about it, and Jota's like, hold my beer, I'll be right back, and scored his goal.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. That was sublime, because I really thought we had lost it there. It was so late. And Richarlison definitely thought that was the equaliser. Yeah. Oh, he'll be up for it tomorrow, mate. He's fit. I've been asking people, and he is fit. He played, didn't he? Well, he played against, who wasn't Atletico. So yeah, he's gonna play a part, even if he doesn't start. I'll imagine he'll start. He always turns it on against us. It's like he waits all season until he plays us, and then has his best game. Just comes to life. He loves it, doesn't he? But that's yeah, it's something I don't necessarily dislike in him, that he's up for games sometimes, but he against us. But it's his behaviour. It's not just like what he can do with the ball. It's his behaviour. He's always trying to wind people up, and his histrionics. When someone goes near him and that, pretending he's been slapped and all this nonsense. He's an annoying. Yeah.
No, I'll tell you this. This is why one of the reasons. I mean, I hate Richarlison, and I do use that word. I do use that word knowingly of what it means, because I don't like Richarlison simply because of his time at Everton. Yes. I don't like him because of his time. He brought that same kind of hatred of Liverpool with him to Spurs, despite the fact that there wasn't any, the same hatred between two clubs wasn't, what's called hatred, but rivalry wasn't existent between Spurs and Liverpool. But yet he still carried that Everton style rivalry, a spirited rivalry against us, and he would play dirty, and it's just that simple. And I mean, I think that Richarlison had a hand in the unfortunate unraveling of Thiago not being able to really get a firm start and launch into it. Because you remember in that game, he made one of the nastiest tackles on Thiago in Thiago's first game. Do you remember that game at all? Or
yeah, definitely. Yeah, it was the game when Pickford done Virgil, and then at the end, just to put the cherry on the cake, we were ripped off on that goal as well. Mane supposedly offside, but he wasn't.
Yeah.
And then to top it all off, Richarlison crocs Thiago. I think we didn't see Thiago for 3 months.
Exactly.
Richarlison put that on him on his debut. No goodwill for a fellow Brazilian, was there? He was just straight in, bang. That was the end of Thiago after not too long.
And Thiago was so good in that game. He set a record or something for most completed passes in a game or something ridiculous like that. But it was just one of those things where you're just that's just how they are, and now with this, I don't think Van de Ven is a dirty player. I know some people, the challenge, I think, was a poor challenge. It was a bad challenge. But I mean, there are those that would say, Spurs have taken on this, I wouldn't call it a bad boy element to their game, but they certainly have some players that that should be able to play above their talent level, yet they don't. Because I know, for instance, some of you rate Christian Romero and some of you don't. And he's talented enough to be on the Argentinian national team. So obviously he's a talented player. He's talented enough to be captain of Spurs, for whatever that's worth. But it's like, it's a weird situation with Spurs. They've slowly but surely, and I think that's the reason why when that goal for when Van de Ven made that tackle against, it's just like one of those things where you're getting beat. You're going to lose this game. There's no reason for you to make those kinds of challenges. It was very surreal to see that happen to a player that finally was starting to show a little promise. Heiler has a question for the panel. He says, how is it that managers and their culture seem to vanish into thin air if they leave their club, as with Alex Ferguson and others? What's your opinion?
With Fergie, he'd been there that long, and that can be the problem when someone's been there that long. It was great for them when he won the league in his final season, but then, trying to replace him after all them years, he tried his best, like himself. He chose Moyes, didn't he? Personally, he knew how much Moyes hated Liverpool. He was a fellow Scot as well, but it just didn't work for them. And then, they went through a succession of other guys with varying degrees of success, and the stories continue till this day. It was like us when Kenny left it. Souness was just so crap. That was the end of that era for us. That had come right through from Shankly. We had non-stop success in Shankly, and then
yeah.
Couldn't you say this? Oh, go ahead, JK.
No, I'll answer Hugo's question. Like for me, when
go ahead. Mm-hmm.
With any human being, it's like they want to be number one. And so what happens is when you go to a club where the aura is so big, like a Jurgen Klopp, what it is, like Slot is a prime example of this. He says on camera he respects Klopp, this, that, and the other, but by his actions, it showed he didn't really do that by selling the soul of all his players.
Yeah.
So for me, that's the reason why at clubs the aura don't stay around, because humans are that way inclined to want to be their aura, be the main thing now. Forget the last guy, who's he? You know what I mean? Back in the days, they had that respect, Shankly and all that. But this new era of managers, bro, the quicker they get rid of anything to do with the old manager, player-wise, and this, that, and the other, shows you the type of guy that person is. So that's why you don't stay around.
Do you think it's like, because I know that, for what he's asking, you could connect it to, for Liverpool at least, this is an era that I've, obviously seen, I've read about, or I've been able to hear the oral history, or even see highlights and see the documentaries and the likes on it. But I didn't live the era of the boot room, for instance, but yet there was an era of Liverpool where yes, it was a new coach, but that new coach just kept the momentum going. He kept that same element of that same conception of what Liverpool was going forward. And it's I know that the boot room doesn't really exist in that fashion. I'm sure you and also Lee could speak on the boot room more than I can, but it's a case where with Arne, for me, because I think the same thing you just said, Arne definitely doesn't. I don't think he shows the proper respect towards Klopp. That I think sometimes he finds himself feeling in the shadow of Klopp, and he had to recognize he always was going to be in that shadow,
Yeah, of course.
And even after winning a title, people are still saying, "Oh, well, it was Klopp's team, or it was this and that," and now his only way of fighting back is to say slide remarks sometimes like, "Oh, well, you got to remember before I came, we were playing in Europa or something," or or something, or just like weird comments that are just unnecessary to throw another coach under the bus to prop yourself up. But like,
no, I was going to reply to Hylow's comment. Something does remain, and I'm sure some of it did at United, but just not enough. But definitely when when Kenny was gone, like and that, and we went on the slide, there was still the boot room thing, and we were still able to hand it over to Evans, and he sort of like steadied it and helped us a bit until Houllier took over a few years later. But something does remain when you've been a big, successful club for a long period. But then it's just that changeover when results start to go wrong. And then it's, can you appoint the right man to put it right?
I'll ask you this, Lee, then. But for United, though, I would never really associate them having that coaching culture. Like Fergie was obviously one of the greatest Premier League coaches of all time. I'm not disputing that. But I mean, his reign was so long that it was different than other coaches' reigns that won titles, one had accomplishments, but yet was able to pass the mantle on to another coach, that came up behind them and continued to move the team forward because that culture was already set. Like Moises was a hand-picked coach. He was hand-picked.
Yeah, I loved it that it was him that failed first because I didn't like him from when he was here. His first Everton stint, and he said Everton are the people's club. Started going on about Liverpool having money and that. It's like, what are you talking about? Everton is some people's club, but it's not the people's club.
Oh, we got Brian in the house, by the way. Big up, Brian. Big up. He's saying the boot room is depressed for him now.
Norman as well.
Hi, Brian.
Big up, Norman. Big up.
Brian,
nice. We have some people that can definitely add to the conversation what we're talking about.
TW as well in the chat. Bless up, bro. Nice to see you, man. What I was going to say about Helios coming about, Klopp being German and from the Schwarzwald, Black Forest. They're called Schwabisch, these people who are from that sort of area. They're called Schwabisch, and they're very militant in the way they are. They're very loyal, top people, you know what I mean? I lived there for 10 years, bro, just in that area. And I understand what Helios trying to say about Klopp. No matter how many would ever make Klopp, even if they paid him $1 million a week, he would never go to Man United. Real Madrid, that's a different story. But he would never go to Man United.
He's one of those managers that suits certain clubs, and he suited us where we were at the time. Yeah. And by God, didn't he do a great job of pulling us up by our bootstraps? And quickly, it was quick that you could see the change in us. It took us a while to be like properly competitive, but from the moment he came in, you could see we were on the up. And guys like him are hard to find. He's a bit of a one-off, isn't he? In some ways, but, it was a great marriage for us. It was such a great appointment, and it was fun when we heard that he'd been to Old Trafford and said it was a bit too much like a theme park or something for my liking. That went down so well on Merseyside when he said that.
Brian's given us the quote about Souness got tagged with knocking down the boot room, but it was being redesigned anyway. Norm says Lee, Everton were known as the Mercy Millionaires, and at that time Shankly said Liverpool are the people's club. Moises stole that phrase. Oh yeah,
definitely. But they were definitely the big club before Shankly took over. They'd have more stuff, and especially cup finals. We hadn't even been in one, and cup finals were massive back then. You know what I mean? But yeah, they were the bigger club. At that point,
Arsenal, annoying.
Oh, Everton were the bigger club. You mean?
Yeah. When Shankly took over Liverpool, Everton were, and have been for some considerable time. But something did remain. Definitely, even though when that era was over, something remained. And I dare say it did at Old Trafford. He didn't immediately become easy to beat at Old Trafford. They still had that Old Trafford thing to them. Yeah, they lost a few games there, like in Moyes' first season, but it took a while for them to get to where they were last season. I mean, how many home games did they lose last season under Amorim? It was mad, wasn't it? But I think in those immediate years after Fergie, they were still looked at as, Man United. But it's just that as the years have worn on, people aren't scared of going there no more, are they? Or they haven't been for a while. But I think it does remain of the previous coaches' era, and the success, whatever.
Wow. Arsenal are up 1-0. They're up 1-0, and it is excuse me, the 89th minute or 90th minute now, 92nd minute actually. They're in the extra time, and excuse me, pretty wild. They waited so long to possibly pull out that victory, which is looking like it's going to be for them. Newcastle, by the way, on the verge of doing us a favor, possibly, by taking some of the heat off of us from Chelsea. They're up 1-0 in the 90th minute as well, in extra time as well. So, oh man. Look, we've gotten to the hour mark. Like I said, I'm gonna go watch some F1 racing or F1 cars go through my city and make a lot of noise, get my earplugs in. But did you guys have anything you wanted to say to the people before we bounce out?
No, just like we've got teams ready to go tomorrow, and that he picks the right team to do the job on the day. I think it's more in our hands, I'm more worried that we'll throw the points away than Spurs will come and earn them. So I just hope we're ready, and we do the job well, because they're there for the taking, aren't they?
J-Maz, bless up the chat as always. Enjoy the game tomorrow. Hopefully this Newcastle result stays the same, and hopefully Everton can nick a goal against Arsenal, you know what I mean? But tomorrow for me, that's a 3-pointer, 6-pointer. We've got to win that. Come on, man. Tottenham's injury list is pretty severe. So, yeah. Press like on the video as well, people. I think 12's already gone to the F1.
Yeah. He's just getting his seat now, isn't he? Have you ever been to see it? Have you, JK? 12 asked me if I have, and I haven't. Have you ever been to see it?
What, F1? Nah, not really. No, I haven't.
Yeah.
I haven't. I hadn't really had the opportunity. I was just trying to think. I like F1, but it's not really...
Time. Yeah, I watched it for the short time about 30 years ago when I lived in my mum's, because my stepdad was into it. It was when Nigel Mansell was a big driver, and the German fella was around then, but only just
Schumacher.
Yeah, so I'd watch it with me stepdad and my brother, because my stepdad liked it, but I've never took it on past that, and started watching it myself. I can see why people enjoy it, though. Get into cars, it's exciting, isn't it, And
it is good.
And everything, don't they?
Trudon, 22 points behind Arsenal, shambolic. For me, I said pre-Wolves game in the Premier League that we've got to win the next 5. 2 Wolves, 2 Galatasaray, and the Tottenham. We've lost 2 out of the 3 already. So what's going on right now? 22 points. That's a joke. 22 points.
It's embarrassing. It's quite sober and that.
That's embarrassing. After winning the league, you're 22 points behind the leaders than a season after. Come on, and you spent $500 million. Okay. The players have to put more effort in. I get that. But for me, this manager doesn't. He should have said to the guys, go to Galatasaray and nick a goal. I know the away goals don't count, but get a goal in their stadium. You know what I mean? Get a goal. Just get a goal. he went to Istanbul thinking, you know what, a 0-0 or a 1-0 to them, that's all right. We'll take that to Anfield. Yeah, I understand it, but at the end of the day, I knew that before he was going to do it. Even in the Wolves game in the Premier League, got beat by Wolves, the bottom league of the league team. So, Arne Slot's time. How long can we carry on with this nonsense? Next two, we always say the next game's a must-win, but we've lost 2 out of the last 3. What are must-wins as well? So, you know what's going to happen tomorrow. Slow start, maybe second half, put our foot down.
Yeah, he likes his slow starts, doesn't he? So he can...
Too slow, bro. And what happens is the opposition think, oh, we can get something out of this. And
Yeah.
what happens, they actually end up doing that. So you're inviting danger when you slow start all the time, especially at
I
home.
think you are. I don't feel like if you start quickly and get at them, you get them on the back foot and, get them in a different state of mind, or at least a state of mind where they're a little bit more nervous about attacking you. And it's just like teams come to Anfield this season, teams that we should be absolutely playing off the park. Maybe not winning by like a massive scoreline, but the likes of Leeds or bloody Burnley, we should be beating them easily, shouldn't we, at Anfield?
Yeah, we should. Then again, we should be in a title race and not in a top 4 race. Things happen, right? Things happen. All right, people. I am going to have to push out here.
Hi, Dara.
We're going to do Dara. We big up Dara.
Fashionably late, Dara.
Fashionably late. Exactly. I should have hit up Dara actually thinking about it because he probably would have gotten me a little bit easier parking downtown. But all the same, big up to everyone joining us. We will do a Reds roll call tomorrow. Is it going to be possible?
Mm-hmm.
And we'll certainly do a post-match reaction to a very important game. I'm going to say big up to our panel. Big up to JK. Big up.
Bless, bro.
I can hear Smokey in the background getting it in. Big up to Lee, of course, holding it down as always. Our Scouser in the house, and big up to the chat. Very, very, very big up. Oh my goodness, got this cough kicking up all of a sudden. Oh, okay. So I'm gonna go get my hydration on so I can talk. And yes, Newcastle beat Chelsea, did us a favor. Hopefully we can do ourselves.
Yeah, wonderful news. Well done, too. Well done, Eddie.
Yeah, let's do our own self a favor and get the job done against Spurs tomorrow. So big up always. We will be with you live tomorrow. Please join us. But until then, up the Reds each and every time, and we'll see you. And we're out.